Oh man, listen. That's how we're gonna start this episode because we don't unfilter things here. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a dickhead at times, but that was ultimate dickhead moment, right? Episode 12, style of play football. The reason we're laughing is because we've been talking for the past 2 minutes and we've not been recording, but we're recording now. We're recording now. I'm not going to repeat
There you
myself.
go.
I'm not going to repeat myself. But listen, any new listeners, just subscribe to the channel, hit the notification, all of that.
There you
Kojo's
go.
blessed. If you didn't hear that, you wouldn't have heard it because we weren't recording. But he's blessed. I'm blessed. But no, with what you were saying, have I watched international football? No, I haven't. I haven't been watching international football apart from the Azerbaijan game, 2-0. I think it finished. But what about you? You've been watching it?
No. I feel
Mm.
out of love with international
But
football
even
a long
like
time ago,
AFCON
man.
and all that, you're not
So,
into that, no?
as far as I'm concerned, no.
Yeah,
When
you're
it comes
different.
to international tournaments, I'm about. When it's qualifiers, friendlies,
Nah,
even
I don't.
Nations League, I'm a bit about that. Yeah, I ain't got time for that. The only time I watched a Nations League game was when I
Mm,
realized Push got to the final, and this was a time where I semi cared about this Ronaldo Messi thing. So I was like, yeah,
mm,
you know what? Let me see my guy clip the trophy, did his
mm.
thing. But after that, quite frankly, I don't care. Um, but yeah, no, Afcon, that's my bag.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
coming in January as well. So I'm about, man. I'm about. But this thing
I
here,
thought they changed the
nah, man,
AFCON
don't want
to the
it.
summer. Did they not do that after COVID? Yeah, yeah.
They were supposed to. I don't know what's going on there, to be honest. So I don't know
Yeah, it's
when that's
mad
going to
that
happen.
because
But
obviously
yeah.
there's a couple of Prem teams. I remember reading this before the season started that they're in trouble. I feel like Nottingham Forest might be one of them. Like they've got a bag of players that will go.
Bro,
Yeah, yeah.
what's the
They've
striker's
got a
name?
lot of players I
Oni.
think that will be out.
Bro, we
Um,
can go through their squad.
Yeah, but I'm looking for. I loved international tournaments like you, but when it comes to these like friendlies and like, I don't even know. I think England's playing tonight. I don't even know if it's a friendly or qualifier, whatever it is. But it's just stupidness, man. Like you're playing it in the middle of the season, and we're going to talk about Camavinga later on in this episode. But you're
Yep.
seeing a lot of players now pick up some mad injuries when they. I think Son as well. Son got injured in like the game that he's playing in the other day, and rather than sub him off, it looked like a bad ankle injury as well. Rather than sub him off, they let him play the full 90 minutes. So
Yeah, but you see, Klinsmann, he's their manager. He's been a buy. I remember there was an interview, not interview, it was like a press conference thing, and they said, Son's carrying an injury, so how are you gonna manage him? And he said,
I say, what are you
what do you
talking
mean?
about, man?
What do you mean? He's gonna play. He's playing, man. Shut up. You don't care. You don't care. And you know what?
Yeah,
Quite
man.
frankly, I appreciate the honesty. I like it. I like it. The fact that we got man saying the truth rather than saying, yeah, we'll see what we can
Mm,
do. Nah, he's playing. He's my captain. He's South Africa.
mm.
South Africa's bloody young.
He's got to
South
play.
Korea's Beckham. So
He's got to play, man.
he's got to be the man.
He's
He's got
got
to
to
be on the
play.
pitch, whether you like it or
He's got to
not.
play. But before we
Got to
came
run
on
that.
and we actually did start recording, not the pre-record, the actual recording. I was saying to you before we came on about Everton, who've now officially been handed a 10-point Premier League penalty for FFP rule breach. Um, which I find crazy. So this goes back to the breaches that were made in the 2021-2022 season. A hearing that took place last month only lasted 5 days, which I find astonishing when you think about Chelsea and Man City's situation at the moment. So they've come out here. The Premier League official statement says that an independent commission has imposed an immediate deduction of 10 points on Everton FC for a breach of the Premier League's profitable and sustainable rules, which is the PSRs as well. That's what it's known for in the acronym. So it says, following a 5-day hearing last month, the commission determined that Everton FC's PSR calculation for the relevant period resulted in a loss of 124.5 million, as contended by the Premier League, which exceeded the threshold of 105 permitted under the PSRs. The commission concluded that a sporting sanction in the form of a 10-point deduction should be imposed. That sanction has immediate effect. Now, Everton fans, that actually leaves you not that worse off than you was originally, albeit you're 10 points away from it, but you are still above Burnley, which Burnley fans are unfortunate. That shows how bad your season's going. But but just on that, your thoughts, initial thoughts, because like I said, Man City, I think you said before we start recording, 115 breaches. Chelsea's going to be there or thereabouts in the mix at some point, if not this season, next season. Um, do you think that's the right call in terms of the breach? the quickness of getting that decision from the Premier League as well. And do you feel that there's money, brown envelopes being pushed from a particular club to allow their thing to take a little bit longer to allow them to win a couple more Premier Leagues?
Do it is, yeah. Okay, let me just be a bit frank in it. 115 charges is a lot to go through. So,
True, true.
quite frankly, that one, that punishment might be a lot bigger. So, agendas have to agenda on my side, innit? They're my ops. So, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, deal with them as well. But when it comes to the financial fair play side of it with Everton, everyone knows what the rules are. Whether you're a fan of football or not, whether you are even someone that plays something like Football Manager, you always see at the bottom when you're doing transfers, where it says 105 million loss is your
Yeah, yeah.
maximum loss, which is a lot of money, by the way. You have to really deep that. 105 million is a lot of money, but it's over 3 years. So they're giving you a period of time. If you struggle within a period in 1 year, you can try and balance that out over the next two. Um, but yeah, no, that punishment was coming. It was coming eventually. And Everton are a club that, quite frankly, if anyone's paid attention, have not spent well, have been having like weird relationship with their owners or different owners, and financially they just sounded like a mess throughout the whole time. But because Everton are a certified Premier League club, you always think that with Premier League money they'll keep their heads above water and they'll be fine. Obviously, that's not the case. So yeah, man, right decision. Yes, to get punished some way, but one win and they're out of relegation zone already. So it's not as bad as it could have been. You know what I mean? They got away with it a little bit, but bro, but they are going to be very very much fuming because you will say Man City should have been dealt with by now. If I'm being honest, you got Super League first, then you've got this 115 charges, which has now been a while since we've heard about that. So there has to be some form of punishment somewhere at some point. But yeah, it is what it is. Everton, uh, they're in trouble. I don't know what's going to happen to them in the next couple of weeks, but I think they'll be fine regardless of the season. If they somehow manage to survive this season after minus 10 points loss, the three clubs below them need to really, really look at themselves and think what the hell's going on. And if I'm Burnley, I don't care if you're on the same amount of points, which by the way is still poor. The fact that you still
Mm.
can't go even 19th says a lot about your manager. But and your squad. But yeah, man, Everton will be fine. I think so anyway. I
I
think they'll
mean,
just
I'm looking at their
pull it off
fixtures
in the end.
now for the next, you know, four weeks or so, 4 to 5 weeks. After the international break, they've got Manchester United at Goodison. Obviously, your team should beat them there. I'm not sure what your record is. No, no, I'm not even taking. I'm not even taking a piss. I think I think you should beat them, but I
Oh, I
think I'm
know.
not sure. Again, I'm not sure of your record at Goodison, how good
You
that
should.
is. But then, for me, that isn't even a game that they should really be concerned about. I think you look at Nottingham Forest. That's a big game. It's going to be a big game at the bottom for them as well. You look at Newcastle after that. Then they play Chelsea on the 10th. I think is that in the league? I feel like that's not in the league, but it must be. It's in the league, yeah. Um, then they've got Burnley, another big game. That's a big, big test for them there. Turf Moor. Then they play Fulham at home, Tottenham away, Man City at home, and then they play Wolves on the 30th of December. So there's some big games. I mean, they've got what, 7 games there, 8 games if you include United, where theoretically they're going to have to pick up at least 12 points out of that, probably more. The reason I say that is because they don't want to be coming to the last 2 seasons. I feel with Everton, the season when they would literally look like they were going down. It was like second to last game of the season, and they were, they don't want to be in that situation again come May where they're waiting or relying on other teams. Last season I think that Brighton result really helped. Well, it automatically kept them up theoretically when they beat Brighton at the Amex. So I
Yeah.
mean, I do worry for Everton. I think they're the club that I look at as a West Brom, a team that I know West Brom come back into the Premier League when they go down, but I feel Everton would really struggle to come back out of that Championship. They've spent too much money. I think you just said that. Like they've spent close to 500 million, nearly 400 million in the time that Farhad Mashouri's been at the club. I think he got there 2016. Obviously, they had the issues with the Russian owners as well, or the Russian injection of cash as well. That hasn't helped them, but yeah, this to me personally, taking away City at the moment, this is a big thing for Everton. If they don't get out the bottom three come May and they do go down, are they finished as a club?
They're in trouble. Thing is, yeah, this is the worst time for them to get relegated because you move to a new stadium soon. It's huge. It's huge. And I don't know what, I can't really delve into the financial backing that they have because I don't really know how bad or good it is. Obviously, it's bad because obviously you've got a points deduction for your FFP situation. But if you compare it to when Arsenal moved, obviously Arsenal and Everton are apples and oranges, it's very different. But when Arsenal moved to the Emirates, everything was
Hmm.
financial. Similar to Man City as well, actually, when they moved from the Etihad from Main Road. Obviously, again, they're not Arsenal in terms of size or anything at that time, but it was all financial. The one thing that can't happen to you when you're moving to a new stadium is to lose the Premier League money. You can't do that. So they could be in big trouble because the question you have to ask yourself is one, yes, Everton fans are loyal. They love their clubs, but their club rather. But are they going to turn out in their droves week in and week out
I think they will,
in that stadium?
because they are a loyal
They might
bunch of
do,
fans. Like
but
living up here, I never used to realize and understand why and how, but they are loyal, man. They are one of the most loyal fan bases.
do you know what I asked that question? The reason I asked that question is because it's not even a thing on
Mm,
Everton fans or the fan base as a whole, but every fan base has this. I remember when Leeds got relegated and
true.
Leeds used to sell out Ellen Road all the time, and then they went into the championship. They went to League One. Naturally, obviously, fans don't come in thousands as per usual. But knowing their history, their size, and how
Mm.
passionate that we believe their fan base is, you'd hope that you'd watch a game and see at least 98% of the stadium full. You know what I mean? But it wasn't happening like that. Eventually, it was like 70%, 80%. And that's still a big number, but in context, considering that you might, if you get relegated from the Premier League, you're not paying Premier League prices for season tickets, for tickets in general. The opposition doesn't attract what you could call outside support. You know, the guys that want to come and see a game in the area because obviously Liverpool's the main attraction, but you're also a Premier League club. And if Liverpool are in town or Man United or Chelsea are in town, you want to go see that game. So that's the only reason I asked that. I don't question Everton's fans because, quite frankly, they've had a lot of rubbish for the last couple of years and they stayed very loyal. So I don't question their loyalty to the club. I'm just asking, do you have enough fans that would want to say, I want to keep going? And
Yeah,
when I
it's
say
true.
enough fans, that 20% is big. It's huge. It means a lot. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying that question. I don't doubt them. I just think in context of what everything's happening, getting relegated would be the worst thing to happen to this football club. So if I'm Sean Dyche, the one thing I say to the players is, we're still in good form. We've actually got some good results in the last couple of weeks. So this has happened. We just get out of it again. It's hard work, but it's got to get done. It is what it is. But you're more than capable of doing it. And then if you go back to the end of the season, let's say they finish mid-table, but they're like 8 points off a European place, and we say that 10 points is what took it away from them. Use that as fuel for the next season. Get angry, do something with it. That's why I'm asking these questions. When I ask these questions about clubs, I don't ever want to make it sound like their fans are
Yeah,
fair
yeah,
weather
yeah.
fans or them kind of people. Everyone's got a loyal fan base. I just want the realism of it to also be recognised because I know for a fact if Man United got relegated tomorrow, you're not seeing a 90,000 seat stadium.
You reckon? I
You're
think
saying
they
you're
still
seeing
sell it out.
60
I
and then maybe
think
50.
you don't think. I
No,
think United's got too
no,
many.
no
There's
way,
tourists that go to the
no
amount
way.
of tourist people I see posting up at United.
The tourists will come, but the tourists make up. In my opinion, Man United fans complain about, especially Man United fans complain, you're sending your tickets, but these guys come in, bro. The
I
tourists
still
make up
think they
like
sell that out,
5%
man.
of
Like
it,
United.
really
If
and
I
truly.
mean, this will never happen. We're talking about hypothetical, especially United. With United,
Oh
we're
well,
talking
yeah, it's
hypothetical because I don't think
big
it'll ever happen.
hypothetical,
But
absolutely, yeah.
well, it shouldn't happen. But I think if United ever went down, I think I'd be surprised if they didn't turn out the the tendencies that they're doing now. I just
I hear it.
too big of a club like Everton.
Yeah.
I do 100% see your point there because I think there are people now that when they go 3-0 down at Goodison, they're walking out the ground at like 40 minutes. When they nearly got relegated, I remember someone I know,
Yeah.
he texted me and said,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
I think it's like 20 minutes into the game. And he said, nah, we're going, we're going, we're leaving. And they left because they were, I think they scored like, I think it finished like 3-1 or something to the other team. But I think the saving grace for Everton is that their goal difference is okay at the moment. I think you look at Burnley's, you look at Sheffield United, you look at Luton, their goal difference is a bit mad. I think it's like -21 at the moment. So, Everton are scoring goals. They're just not doing as well in terms of keeping clean sheets, or they're dropping points, or they're not. Do you know what I mean? So I think that keeps them in good stead at the moment. Um, I was just trying to think before, has this ever happened previously in terms of point deductions in the Premier League for breach of FFP? And I don't think it has.
Premier League.
I think the only
FFP, I don't think so.
other
No.
sort of big thing I can think of is the City one that's still ongoing at the moment. Um, Question to you though is, if we're seeing this sort of, because I feel like the Premier League is setting a bit of a precedence here now. Because if you're doing 10-point deductions for what
Well,
seems to be a very minor, in the grand scheme of things, a minor breach of FFP, we're talking about 115 breaches. So what is that? You're getting demoted, you're getting kicked out of the league. Because that's, if I'm getting 10-point deduction for what I've just done for Everton, I've got 115 of these things. We might see a man in the Vanarama League. Do you know what I mean? No, we might though, because how you can't justify. How are you going to justify that now? Because you've kind of set a precedent on how quick you've dealt with this. It was only last month the thing, and I can only imagine, because Everton, by the sounds of it, are going to appeal what's happened. If they don't win that appeal, look how quick they've done all that. So 115. What are we talking about? We're talking about them
yeah.
man playing Sunday league. What they're going to do? Well, you can't give them a big hefty fine for
Yeah.
that, because, again, you could have fined. Everton are still looking to get a fine on top of this 10-point deduction. So it's not like one or the other. They've got 10-point deduction plus you're
Facts.
getting a
Facts.
fine as well. So what do you think should happen to City in terms of
Facts.
I mean, take United out for a sec, but what do you think should happen to them?
Oh, the thing is, yeah, when I talk about the City thing, people always a lot
Exactly.
of City. I did
That's
say
why
it
I'm saying
from the beginning.
it.
Such he was like, no, but on the real, look, and I think it'll be the same for every club, because when it happened with City, the first question on I think a lot of City fans' minds was, "What about Chelsea as well? Can you trust them and all that stuff?" Yada yada yada. But the issue with City's situation is the number of charges that they have found on you as a whole means that this goes far past a points deduction FFP situation, because we all know the rules about FFP. If you fumble it, you get points deduction. We know it. If you're caught in match fixing, you get Juventus type, situations. I can't remember what Milan did in 2005. They got deducted like 30 points, but I can't remember what it was that they did. But the point being, for certain set of rules, we know what the
Yeah.
punishments are if you don't follow those rules. Now, 115 charges implies that you have broken rules that we didn't even think were in place. Do you know what I'm saying? And you're hiding, when it comes to financial stuff, Everton haven't hid their financial troubles from the Premier League. They've been punished because, quite frankly, they've not been up to par. Whereas with City, the statements were from the Premier League and from whoever else is that they have been fabricating. They have been,
Cooking the books,
you know,
basically.
falsifying exactly falsifying what they have and what they've been doing. So much so that last week, or within this week, I think it was, where they were announced for making the biggest revenue in Premier League history for a club. Everyone's questioning it because they're saying, where's this money coming from? Do Man City actually generate that much? Do their players have such big names that they're buying and selling shirts worldwide for Man City to make this kind of money? Because you weren't questioning it when Chelsea did it. Well, yes, when Chelsea got Abramovich and was spending money, it was unprecedented at the time, but Chelsea quickly brought in success. When I say quickly, I mean quickly. People forget Man City had
True,
two
true.
owners. They had an owner first, and then these guys came in after. So there's been something that's not been aligned properly, and this is why it's going so far back. This isn't a 2, 3
Historical.
season thing. This is years upon years upon years upon years. It's been stored up. So that's why the question is: do we trust what they're showing us? Do we trust what they've given us on paper?
Mm.
Quite frankly, the answer is no. So, and it's not only the first time. Remember the UEFA case situation where you have that funny picture.
Right,
Oh,
so I think it's calm. I think it's just saying unstable. So it's calm. It's calm.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. We have that funny picture of
Ah,
the Man
yeah.
City
The meme
lawyers
is basically
walking
yeah,
together
yeah,
to. Yeah, the meme, yeah, exactly. But that's another situation where they were caught out and they got away with it, but probably because they paid a nice hefty sum of money to UEFA because that's the fine,
yeah.
isn't it? We can charge you what we want because you know you can pay it. Absolutely. That would be your punishment. So that's the difference in the two. You have to put all agenda aside here. You have to ask yourself 115 charges. Genuinely believe about 20 of them rather are going to be factual. I do not believe that you can have
Oh yeah, of
115
course. But
charges
come
and
on.
not one of them being true. That
If you're a
cannot
serial killer and
cannot
you find
happen.
out you've got
So
20
that's when
bodies on your serial killer CV, you've done at least one of those murders. Let's be honest. So,
there you go.
you know, yeah.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So this is why the punishment for City, I would believe, if found
Mm.
guilty, are going to be heftier. A 10-point deduction is not good enough for
Oh yeah,
115 charges, and this counts for any club.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know me. You know me. I'm very real. Man United. I kill Man United every week. I could be the most dumb loyal fan ever, but quite frankly, if Man United did something stupid, and that was a risk if we had got the Qataris in, because we know how business is done with already with Man City. If we got Qatari owners in, if we got Sheikh Jassim in, the chances are we might have broken the same amount of rules as well, which means we have to be punished the same way as well. So, it's just it just comes down to whatever the Premier League and the FA want to do with it at the end of the day. Like I said, it's going to take a long time. I think we won't find out for at least another 3 years. Then comes the question: are they going to be stripped of titles? Are they going to be um, deducted such a crazy amount of points that they're in a relegation battle the next season? You don't know. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But it's intriguing. It's intriguing. If Everton can be punished this quickly, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to start getting sped up on that Man City case and quick because, yeah, that's a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
more of
It's
a bigger
looking. I mean,
issue
it's
in my
looking
opinion.
likely as well that Everton might get a transfer embargo on top of and or fine as well. So that there's yeah,
But, but
of
that's
course,
punishment,
that's
isn't it? That's
that's what I
punishment.
mean.
You
I
have to do
think
it. Yeah,
the punishment is aligned to what they've done, and they, like you said, they've held their hands up. They've not tried to hide their their reporting. They've reported as they should have done to the Premier League or to the FA, whoever. That's what you got to do. They got to them in effect. Really, Everton have got a little slap on the
yeah.
wrist. Like it could have been worse. Um, I do think Man City's will be has to be more punishable, heftier. It has to be a fine that is in proportion to
Yeah.
the amount of breaches. If we're talking about Everton and 10 points, and this is, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, is minor, Man City's has got to be. We got to start talking about those. The Premier Leagues that they won, are they actually legitimate now? The Champions League, is that legitimate? I know it's a totally different, footballing governing body, but is it still legitimate that they've won that based on what? So there's a lot of questions for me anyway, but I think Everton will be okay. I think they'll be fine. I think they're lucky that, unfortunately for other teams, or fortunately for them, but for unfortunate for other teams at Burnley, maybe Forest, Luton will be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. And I think they're lucky as well. They found a bit of form at the right time in terms of Calvert
Yeah.
Lewin and all those kind of players that have been kind of pulling up a couple of trees for Sean Dyche. They've been doing it, so I think they'll be all right. But talking about injuries, we were talking about injuries before. Um, Eduardo Camavinga, a player that I actually, just looking before, I thought he was injured more than he has been, but he's not actually an injury. I don't know why I had in my head that he's an injury-prone player, but he's actually not an injury-prone player. He's far from it. Like, this guy is never really injured. He hasn't been injured since well, take away the coronavirus. Let's move that one out of the way for a minute. So his real last injury was the 4th of October, 2021. and that was only for 2 weeks, a knock that he picked up. But this one seems to be quite a serious injury because I think he's obviously now out with a serious knee injury that's going to keep him out for up to 2 months, which is a big period of Real Madrid season. Um, is I mean, I feel that Real Madrid, for me personally, without even a natural striker that they don't have without Benzema on the team, I feel that they were really pushing for the Champions League this season with the Jude Bellingham signing. I feel that that's what their ultimate thing always is anyway. The La Liga is their prime number one objective, but that Champions League, I feel like they were trying to push for that this season. Um, do you think with Camavinga being out the team now for up to 10 weeks, that they still have enough in that team? Jude Bellingham, I think, is withdrawn from the England squad as well with a shoulder injury that left. I don't think he played in the last.
Yeah.
I think it was against Valencia. I don't think he played in that game. He was in the stands with his mum in that game. So to the extent of the shoulder injury, we're not sure. But do you feel that Camavinga, Jude Bellingham being at the team, that they still have enough going forward? Obviously, with Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, some of the other players in the team as well. Do you think that they should be okay to continue their season as they have been?
Yeah, it's a weird one with Real Madrid because when you think about it, I think so adding to Bellingham,
No,
which
no.
we don't know how long that's going to be, and obviously now Camavinga. If I said Camavinga, what makes me happy, it doesn't. The reason I'm happy is because I've had this knee injury as well, LCL injury recently as well, so I actually know what it is, so I can actually talk about it a bit more, which makes me that's a bit that makes me happy. But get well soon. But I think Chouameni's injured as well. I think. Oh, we already know
Yeah.
that what's his name's injured, Courtois for sure, and we already know
I think
that
Kepa's out
Militao got
injured
injured
as
as
well.
well. So that's another one.
Mm.
Kepa's injured to the end of the month. So there's a lot of it's a lot of injuries. But the thing with Real Madrid, which they are very very rich in, when we talk about their midfield options, is there's so much they can do with that team. You still got the experience of Kroos and
Mm.
Modric. You still got Valverde there. So this, they'll be fine. I think they'll generally be fine. But going forward, there's always been the question with Real Madrid. You know, Rodrigo and Vinicius, as you said, are the key men. But the thing about Bellingham was getting not only
And
goals but
assist, I
important
think, as well.
goals, winning
Mm.
goals. I mean, exactly. So that's where the question is: okay, if we put you in, can we trust you to get? Or rather, without him being in the team, can we trust you guys to go and still get points? Real Madrid will always get points, whether he's there or not. Same thing as when they used to have Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema. These guys were injured for a period of time. Real Madrid are still getting points. That's just point blank period. But the question being this:
Mm.
just how many points? Because if I'm right, their last game they drew 0-0. So that's already a point dropped without one of their key men or the key man of the season so far. Not only in La Liga but also in Europe. So it's going to be interesting, but I think they'll be fine. They're going to just have to hope that Bellingham will be fit enough for the next game. So maybe rest him. He's withdrawn from the England team. Just look after him, see what you can do with him. Take it easy with him, and then you go from there. But I think they'll be fine. The Camavinga one, I just hope that this isn't a start of many knee
That's what I was
injuries
thinking.
that can
That's
keep
why I thought it
affecting
was
him.
injury
That's the
prone. But
one
you get
thing
an
I'm going
injury
for.
like that, it
Yeah,
could be the start of the down decline in terms of keeping yourself fit. And those injuries are hard to come back from sometimes as well to hit that
yeah,
same form they was hitting before it.
exactly that. So, and he's been really good for them
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a midfielder,
defensively.
even
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
deputy left back as well. He's been great. So, yeah, so it's something that I hope that doesn't affect him long term. These guys, the beauty
Mm.
of these guys is that they're so young. So you'd hope that these things don't affect them long term. Similar to like obviously he's not at the age where Gareth Bale started getting major knee injuries, but Gareth Bale getting knee injuries was still in
Mm.
the prime of his career. If you're talking about what they called 27 to 32, the prime years. So you know I'm just hoping it doesn't happen to him like that, but they'll be fine. He'll come back in 2 months. Business will resume.
Do you
But
know?
I'm still here for Girona to
But
win that league.
this
So
is why I'm asking the question, because you look at the league now.
hey,
Girona at the top on 34 points, Real Madrid on 32. Behind them is Barcelona in third on 30, and Atletico Madrid on 28 points. Now, obviously, you have the Christmas sort of cut down time, the lull time in La Liga, where you only play a handful of games. I think, especially in December, I think they've only got so they've got quite a few in December. So they've got four games and Champions League game. They've got Union Berlin on the 12th of December. So I feel that they have to, like you said, I think they have to get the best. I think Chouameni's actually injured as well, I think, at the moment. So there's they've got to get the
yeah,
best
yeah,
out of the
yeah.
squad that they've got there. And I do think they have enough firepower going forward. But I think in that midfield, he is key, Camavinga. I think he's one of their best midfielders. I think he's played 20 plus games this season, I think, something like that. So for me, he's someone that is instrumental in terms of how they want to go forward. And even like you said, defensively playing at, times covering in as the left side of the defense as well. But it is a big thing, a big point that you raise in terms of that the ligament rupture is something that we put a time frame of 2 months, and then you come back and it's a reoccurring injury. Then the next thing you know, you're out for 3-4 months, and then you come back, you play half the remaining part of the season, then you miss preseason, then you miss the start of the season, and then it can have a domino effect. So I'm hoping that isn't the case, because we've seen it with really good players where they've had to change the way that they play or limit their time, or they're just not the same person as they was before. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be crucial. I'll be honest, I don't think this season, this is why I asked the question as well, but this season, I don't think they're winning the league. I don't think they're winning the league this season. I really don't. I don't, man.
Hmm. I I thought maybe about 3 weeks in they might be another Barca just because they were looking a bit fluid. They were looking back like they were enjoying their football again, but
Mm. Who, Barca?
there's something off about them as well. I don't want to say
Mm.
Girona. Yeah, Barca. I don't want to say Girona yet. I want Girona to go a bit further down before I'll be like, all right, cool, go do the thing. But with Real Madrid, the funny thing about Real Madrid is they always find a spell where they just go crazy and beat
But
everybody.
remember they've had Benzema.
But
Remember they've normally had
for
Benzema with
some
them
reason in La
to do that.
Liga,
Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why
true,
I was saying I'm not
true,
sure. This is the
true,
first time
true.
really we're seeing, because I've always loved Benzema and I think he was always underrated. And it was only when like he got the opportunity to
Fact.
to be the star man. Do you get what I'm saying? Like he had obviously players before him before there that were kind of getting the limelight, and he never really got that. But now he's the main. Oh, well, he was the main guy. We got to see what he could do. We could, like when he was on the ball, he was tucking the goal. He was putting the ball in the back of the net.
Do you know the thing about it is, yeah, and it's not for me and you because obviously it's quite clear we're very big Benzema fans from
Yeah,
even when
man,
he
he's
was
been
there with
doing his thing.
Ronaldo, Bale, Raul, whoever else you want to put in there. Bro, this guy was still getting at
Underrated,
least 30 a season
underrated.
on average. Underrated. So, but that's what football has become now, isn't it? It's you are the key man, and everyone else
Mm,
is the quote unquote side piece. So Bale and Benzema can hit 20 plus a year, but it's never good enough because you're not hitting Ronaldo's 50. That's nonsense
yeah.
because some of the greatest players ever weren't hitting 50, but we
Mm,
acknowledge their brilliance because they were that good. Benzema is a monster player, and he could do everything as well. Score, create. That he just I don't know what that is, man. But hey, man, like I keep saying to people, Messi and Ronaldo has ruined football in it. So yeah, and Pep Guardiola as well. It's not Pep Guardiola's fault per se, but everyone started to do
mm.
copycat. So
Yeah,
it is
no, I
his
hear
fault
you,
as well,
man.
but
I
it's
hear
not
you.
his fault. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I think yeah, I think I don't think they're going to win the league. I think they'll try and aim to go for the Champions League, but they're good enough to do both, like you said. So we'll have to see there. But let's move to Italy. Let's go over to Italy, Napoli, where things are happening over there. Changes at the top. I don't think we ever spoke about the TikTok thing on here, actually, did we? The social stuff with Victor Osimhen. Did we? I don't know
Oh
if we
no,
did.
we didn't.
Maybe we
No,
did, and I can't remember.
I
But
can't
either
remember.
way, it
I
was
don't think we did.
mental. Like
Yeah,
for anyone who doesn't know, they're listening to this. Obviously, there's a lot that was going on with Napoli. I think it came from their own account, if I remember as well. Like the official. I'm not even trying to like dress this up as banner because I'm laughing because I just can't believe it actually. No, I can't believe it actually happened. I'm sure it came from the official Napoli account where they were kind of calling Usherman a coconut, all sorts of other things as well. Just mad things that from a professional football club at the top level in Italy, in Italian football, you would not expect that from. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's just to me, I was thinking, is this like a parody thing? Is this like someone like because now everyone can just get the verification tick now. I thought, or maybe someone set up an account and they're pretending to be Napoli. When I come back and I said, "Right, no, it's actually them. They're actually doing this to their own player that's still signed and has a contract with them." So apparently, reading into it now, just what I've been reading earlier on, apparently his representatives want to try and sue, or I don't know, they want to try and take Napoli to court for what happened over that issue with the TikToks and the social media stuff. But do you feel that it's time for Mr. Victor to move from Italy and maybe pursue another, Saudi club? I think it was Al Hilal expressed a lot of interest in him as well. Obviously, he's been linked heavily with Chelsea. He's just recently done the podcast with John Obi Mikel, where he sort of touches on that. And Mikel seems to be acting as agent Mikel at the moment. But do you feel that he's got to move from Italy? Do you think even why are black players even in Ross Clark, Italy anyway? They shouldn't even be over there. Do you know what I mean? Like, man, are getting monkey chance left, right, center. But do you
Yeah,
think it's time for him to go?
can't lie. Let me just be quite frank here. When they won the league last year, and they gave the player of the year and pretty much 80% of the praise to Kvaratskhelia, that's when I said, yeah, done here. Done. Me, done. There's no reason to be here anymore. And I gave the same energy. This is not me, even
Mm.
using the whole black players in Italy thing. I gave the same energy when Barcelona had that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
comeback against PSG, the 6-1 comeback. And Neymar put on one of the best
Hmm.
performances you see from any player, anywhere.
Hmm.
And they gave all the praise to Messi. And it's one of the ones where you have to sit there and say, I understand that this is like. By the way, before actually let me clarify this. Kvaratskhelia is not Napoli's Messi. No one is their Messi. Like no one. Period. But especially I understand Messi is the man. He is the guy. Everything that Barca is Messi, right? This guy, who's also supposed to be a superstar of yours, has produced one of the best performances of any of your players in your history to bring your club down from what
Mm.
was a devastating first leg defeat, and he's brought you back from the brink. And in fact, even gave the assist for the goal and for the winning goal as well for Sergio Roberto,
He was
who's
good, man. He
another
was
one that
good.
didn't get praised. He was phenomenal in that match, so good in that match. And these guys didn't get anything. It was all pictures of Messi, and it's like it annoys me because I knew at the time Real Madrid would do the same thing if I don't know
Hmm.
Lucas Vasquez scored the winning goal and gave a phenomenal performance. But because Ronaldo's on the pitch, everything is going to be about Cristiano Ronaldo and how inevitable he is in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But it was not his performance. Now with Napoli, Kvaratskhelia was great. He's had a brilliant first year at Napoli, helped them win the league, great talent. But what about the guy that's also producing the great goals and and performances and helping you win games? He's scoring the ones that get you
Hmm.
the points. He's a points getter. As good as Kvaratskhelia is, he's not a guy that changes the moment like that. When you say a moment changes, it's someone that who grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and
Hmm.
literally drags you to the win. That's what Osimhen was doing. So where's his praise? And then the social media thing comes now. Obviously, I think that was done outside the transfer window, so nothing you can do much about that one. You can't leave in September, windows closed. But that for me is also another thing that takes the cake. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say you should come to England because
He'll
you
get
won't
it
get that
worse
because
as
we see
well, man. He'll
nonsense
get
in
it
this
worse, to
country.
be fair.
I'm not going to say exactly, exactly. I'm not going to say go Spain because you just have to look at Vinicius Junior in the last year or 2 years for that to be even the case. Because now a guy
Mm.
can't even dance for a goal that he scored. It's ridiculous. But the thing about the Napoli situation is, and that is Napoli, it's Lazio. So you know I'm talking about Naples in particular. there's always been this thing that they do against black players that's just off, and I don't like it. But truth be told, end of the day, look, Napoli are good. They're a big club, but I think if you have ambition to become the man at a monster club, it's time for you to think about going elsewhere. It's perfect how Jose Mourinho said it as well back in a couple of years ago. No disrespect to Chelsea, you know he loves Chelsea with all his heart, but he said Chelsea are such a big club, massive club,
Yeah, yeah. Facts,
but Man
though.
United are huge. I'm not saying come to Man United. I'm just saying in the context of Napoli, Napoli are a big
The
club,
step
but
up.
you want that next step. Yeah, that next step. And that could be Chelsea, because Chelsea are bigger than Napoli. It could be Man United, because Man United are bigger than Napoli, depending on what this Sir Jim thing's going to happen. Is going to do. Apparently, it's going to be an announcement today that he will be taking the 25% and then take over Sporting Affairs. So that could work out. I don't know. Could be City. They could say, I want another striker in there, put him and Haaland in the two. Don't know. Could be um, could be Arsenal. Could be Real Madrid. Could be Barcelona. Hell, in Italy, it could be Inter. It could be AC. It could be Juve. Or they could ask you to go and compliment Harry Kane as he gets older, not as quick, make him become a bit deeper, put a fast man in front of him, because not only can he score, he can create. Bayern Munich's there as well. Napoli are not these clubs. The window's there for you. There's clubs that need a striker. And quite frankly, number nines these days, pure number
True.
nines, can't find them that much. So if you're going to be the guy, go somewhere else and be the guy. I don't mind that. So I'm happy for him to make the move. And I think he should make the move. And if you want an example of why he shouldn't stay at Napoli beyond the season, if you look at the decision making from the club this season, yeah, you wouldn't stay there. Because bringing back Walter Mazzari, I don't know I don't know what to say to you. I do not know what to say to you. But also bringing in Rudy Garcia in the first place, again, I don't know what to say to you.
I
So,
think
you
I
know,
think it's I
there you
think it's
go.
a I think the perfect time for him to move is now. And I'm not saying that because I want him at Chelsea. I think if he was to go to, like you said, City, United, Arsenal, wherever else, I think he needs that step up. I mean, I think he scored. Was it last season? He scored 30 goals. I think all comps. I think so. He scored 30 goals. He scored
Yeah,
6 in 10 games this season so far. Obviously, I think he had a moment where he's been out the team while they're resolving this TikTok social media stuff. So he's got, you can tell just from that, 6 in 10 tells you had he been playing. I can't remember any games he's missed for Napoli, but he's missed a couple, I think, already this season during that period of when they were investigating the thing and whatever
yeah.
else. And he kind of was on bad terms with them. And he's come out and put that statement out saying he's committed to Napoli this season and whatever. I do think there'll be a massive push though. And I'm not trying to be biased or whatever, but I do feel there'll be a massive push from Chelsea to try and sign him because out of those clubs you just mentioned, then we're the only club that doesn't have a serious striker at the club. We're the only one. United got, whether you want to say it or not, Rasmus Højlund is a striker. He's young. He's
He's
young.
a
We
young guy,
spent
isn't he?
what
He's a young
70
guy, and
million
he's
on him already.
yeah,
So you know that you're not expecting him to deliver you 30
yeah.
goals this season, but you want to see that trajectory in hopefully in the next couple of seasons, one or two. You still need another striker. Let's be real. You do need
Facts.
a front runner. We got Nicholas Jackson. He's not a front runner. We haven't. That's it. We've got Nicholas Jackson and Broja. Arsenal got Jesus. They're looking at Ivan Toney. City got
Yeah, yeah,
Haaland. Spurs really haven't got an out and out number 9 like they did with Harry Kane, but they've got Son that can do a job when Madison's back fit as well. And some of the other teams that you mentioned, obviously, we just spoke about Madrid, don't
Liverpool.
really have an out and out 9 as well. But I think we'll go for him. I really do. I think the only thing that will stop that going through for Chelsea is that we don't have. Well, we're not going to get Champions League football this season, and also we're on the brink of FFP anyway. So, what do we do? Do we bring him in knowing that we're going to try and do this 8-year thing? Or I think they've changed that now for next season. But, I think the maximum can be 5 years or 6-year contracts that you can give a player. Do we try and do all of that again? Or do we just go all out and get him? Do we? And I think me personally, my own personal thing, I think we're going to try and get the I don't know how long he's got left on his contract, but I think we're going to try and sign him very much like we did on Kunku. I think we'll do the deal in January for him to move in the summer, to then be announced as a player now, but the pre-agreement that we did with Nkuku last season, I think we'll do something similar with Usherman as well, because I think we need a striker and we need one desperately next season, because next season is going to be even more hard for us this season than this season is already. But um, he did say that he's got a lot of Chelsea friends. he did say that on he did say that on the John Obi Mikel podcast, but he also
Yeah.
did say that he's got I think the two the jerseys, the tops that he's got from English clubs is United and Chelsea. Read into that what you will.
Yeah, but you know how it goes, man. You know how it goes, man. If you come from Ghana or Nigeria, yeah, you really know. You really know, man. It's very simple. Ghana was main. It was Liverpool first. John Barnes, and then eventually the Andy Cole influence as well. And then Chelsea.
Mm,
As soon as SCN signed for Chelsea,
mm,
game over. Man United were about to get Nigerian fans with Jonathan Mikel, and then he made the acrimonious move somehow from Man
mm,
United without playing for Man United to Chelsea. And that influence is there as well, bro. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm gonna be very real. I would join Chelsea if I was him. If I was him and you told me Man United or Chelsea, I'm a Man United fan. But I'm thinking what's best for my career in that moment in time. I say Chelsea. Not that Chelsea are in a better place
mm,
than Man United. I think they're both in terrible places. Just to put that down for the record, but I do think that you just don't know with Man United because there's not been
mm,
a level of any sort of stability to the point where it's become super acrimonious. Whereas Chelsea, yes, many different managers over the years. Now you got a different owner, but the one thing that's happened over the years, whilst under Todd Bowley, is it's not really happened just yet. But his ownership is still kind of relatively new. There's always been
mm,
success at Chelsea, no matter what. So I would look at that and say maybe that is the environment, and they've also got a manager who, for sure, has the backing of the
mm,
owner to buy players consistently, no matter the situation, will keep buying players that might actually help me get more goals. Whereas in United, you can look and say they signed a number 9 that makes runs in
true,
behind, but they don't
true.
have creators around him to get him chances.
Mm,
So what do you expect him to do? Whereas at Chelsea, at least even if you don't agree with the money they're spending or how they're spending it, at least the effort is there to try and make something happen. So I might look at that situation and say, let me go Chelsea. And also, you spoke about his contract. It runs out in
yeah,
2025.
yeah, yeah.
So after this season, he's got 1 year left. So if he doesn't sign a contract, we're not looking at 120 million
Mm,
anymore. We might be looking at 70, 80.
makes
It's a
sense,
bigger, it's
man.
a better
Makes
deal.
sense.
It's a lot better. So, hey, man, me
Let's
personally,
hope.
I'd
Let's
go for
hope
him. I'd
me
go for him,
and
yeah.
you are both right in that situation, because we need a Ras class striker. We need a striker quick. I'm worried about us. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. But let's move on to the last one, the last topic before we wrap up. Now, obviously, again, kind of keeping it on the international kind of episode. Gareth Southgate was asked, I think, in his press conference. I'm gonna say yesterday. I'm not really following the internationals at the moment, so I'm gonna say it was yesterday or very recently anyway. Obviously, following the announcement that Emma Hayes will leave
Yeah.
Chelsea Women's at the end of the season to move over to the US Women's National Team to take over from whoever was there before. I don't know who that is, so I'm not gonna pretend that I do. Um, and I do. Look at that right in front of me, Greg Berhalter, whoever that is. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, is that who
Oh,
it is?
the guy that had the scandal. Yes,
I
him.
think I
Yeah,
pronounced his name
yeah, yeah.
wrong, but
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
he had to
we,
go, man. He had
is
to go.
is
He
it
had to
podcast
go, man.
friendly or not? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
It's not really podcast friendly. I can't lie.
Do you know what's mad though?
Nah,
Kind of,
nah,
he's
he had
going
to
off
go.
topic, but I was gonna talk about Mark Overmars today because he got taken out of Ajax for some. I don't remember. He sent loads of text messages, and it's a podcast for another day. We'll do that another day. But so anyway, yeah. Sorry. Going back.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
basically,
yeah,
he was asked about the importance of equal pay in football between the men's and the women's game, and should women basically be getting paid the same amount as the men's game at the moment? Now, I don't like Gareth Southgate, but I liked his response to this because I think he said yes, it is important, but pointed out the economic complexities around the topic ahead of his game against Moore. And he's basically saying that, yeah, but you also have to take into fact that a League One manager would not be getting paid as the same as a Premier League manager. So there's levels in terms of the pyramid in the men's game. League Two and League One are not getting paid the same wages
yeah,
as the Haalands and the Hoylands. So there's a structure.
yeah.
the question to you is: do you feel at the moment, not in 10 or 15 years, because I think it will align eventually or be a lot closer, but do you feel that the women's game is on par where it needs to be right now? Do you feel like that? Like, we're just talking about trajectory, but do you feel like their trajectory is kind of going in the right direction in terms of the revenue, the stadiums being fuller, um, the pay, man? I think the pay is a big thing for them, isn't it? The pay, they want the 350 grand a week kind of
Yeah.
contracts at the moment. Do you think that's even viable for a women's game at the moment to be getting that kind of money a week?
No, I don't disagree that they should be getting better pay, but the issue is okay. You know, I'm just gonna say it, man. I'm just gonna say it. Whether people like it or not, I'm gonna say it. Women's football needs, quite frankly, a bit more of an aggressive side to it. And what I mean by that is, I need rivalries to be genuinely be angry at. I'm being serious. Where football makes money, not only by
Hmm.
players' names and television deals and all that, is how you sell matches more than anything. Because if you compare the anger of I say anger, the passion rather, the passion of the Arsenal Spurs derby in the men's game compared to the women's game, it's not close. That's because of how the fans turn out. That's how because of how it's advertised, and it's not given the same, in my opinion, the same level of importance to the outsiders. To Arsenal fans and Spurs fans, they get it. But on the men's side, if I said to you, "Oh, yo, Sunday, 4:30, North London derby," what are you saying? You're watching that game. You're watching that game. You're there. You don't support any team. You even hate both of them because you're a Chelsea fan. They're your ops. They're your ops. But you're watching that game because you know it's pure entertainment. The women's game, not that it doesn't have the entertainment side to it, but it's not the same level. But that's what brings in the money. That's what brings in the numbers. I always compare these things to like WWE because, as crazy as it sounds to make an as a what's it called as a comparison, the way you sell tickets, the way you get notoriety, is by building something to be a lot bigger than sometimes the way it actually is. Quite frankly, and that's the same way you do it in every walk of of sport, in entertainment. You have to sell it properly for it to garner the interest and the notoriety that you want for people to attend in their numbers, and if they don't get tickets, to sit in front of their TVs and demand that this game is shown. So much so that Sky Sports can then go and say, we need to make, we've got a Sky Sports main event, we've got Sky Sports football, we've got Sky Sports F1, we've got Sky Sports cricket, we need to make Sky Sports women. We need to make that channel. We need to make sure that the eyes are on there. Because that's how you generate number in the first place. Then number two, you start to advertise it, do the 3 p.m. blackout if you want to, but advertise it elsewhere around the world. Show that the Premier League is the place to be. And then after that, you can go and do it elsewhere as well. And, just build such an aura around it that when women's football or league football is missing for about 2 weeks for an international break, people are clamoring for it to come back because they want it to come back. There's too much, in my opinion, questioning and not enough doing. Why are we doing this for the women's game? What? Do it. Give it a chance. Because if you give them a channel and it doesn't generate the numbers, we're giving it a go. We're giving it a go. Find a different way to advertise it then. Do something. I shouldn't. And also, here's another thing as well, actually. How many times
It's
do the women
four
get to
times
play
a
in the actual
season.
stadiums? Yeah, that's nonsense. That to me is nonsense because then you can't generate a crowd big enough to bring in revenue. If Arsenal are playing every week or so in the Emirates Stadium, fix the fixtures so the women can also get in that stadium because it's already been proven that they can sell out the Emirates. It's already been proven that they can sell out Wembley. Old Trafford's been sold out. Stamford Bridge has been sold out. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has been sold out. So it can be done. 4 games a season is a nonsense. That to me is a nonsense. You know what that is? That's basically telling me that I can get to see the WWE 4 times a year in this country as much as I can see them in the stadium over there, and they're in America. Why are they getting 4 games in the stadium? Or if you don't want to give them Old Trafford or the Emirates or this, that, and the other, if the clubs are connected like they say you are, and
Well,
you've got the money to help them, build them a stadium, 30,000 seater.
mm,
Why not? 30,000 is not too bad. You can do a lot with 30,000 fans in the stadium. You can do a lot of that. I don't see why these things are not pushed upon. It's too much questioning, too much. Can we do this? Can we do that? And then we do it, and it's like, oh, this is so great for the women's game. You
there's,
should have been done a long time
I
ago, my
think it's
friend.
changing though. I do think it's changing slightly. I agree with you 100% everything you said. Like I didn't even think about the women's channel, that there should be a women's channel, but then I'll use Liverpool as an example because I know that they're kind of doing things in the women's game for the women's team. So Melwood, the training complex that Liverpool used to use, they've obviously moved to Kirby, like where the youth players used to train. Now it's a combined training centre in Kirby for the men's team. I think the women's team might train elsewhere at the moment. But
Okay.
anyway, the Melwood complex is still there. Obviously, it's like kind of disused at the moment, but they're considering building the women's stadium there. Now, the argument that a lot of the women's journalists and just people involved in the women's game are saying at the moment is, why isn't Anfield just Anfield Stadium? It's not Anfield, the men's stadium. Do you get what I'm saying? It should just be, why isn't Old Trafford just Old Trafford? Like
Yeah,
Old
yeah.
Trafford should just be Old Trafford. And Stell. Like obviously, big up Stell. We talk about the women's game on and off all the time, and we always say that it's only really this country that has these kind of questions, like you said, and nothing really gets done. It's only this country. You go to other countries. You go to Spain, the La Liga F over there. It's fine. Like, it's calm. They go it's calm. They got it set up right
Yeah.
over there. I think the French league and the women's league over there is calm as well. It's only this country that really has that kind of
Mhm.
questioning around the women's game, I think. But to back up your point as well around the 4 games as a season thing, just looking now, it's ironic because you talked about derbies before. So I don't know if you know, but the Manchester derby is this weekend for the women, and it's at Old Trafford. And just looking now, there's still tickets available for this. So it kind of, yeah,
Why
exactly,
is that not being
exactly,
advertised more?
exactly.
This is the point. This is the point. So the thing is, I knew about that
It
because
pops
I've
up.
got the Man United app. So any
Yeah,
fixture, men, women, I can keep up to. Yeah, and I can know about that. But I can guarantee you, you saying that right now, if you posted that on Twitter,
none, zero,
how much engagement are you gonna get from
zero.
that?
And the thing is, there's really, I mean, I'm looking now, literally, and the thing with the women's game, the tickets aren't like £65. These tickets here, these decent seats right behind the dugout are £15. That's for an adult ticket. You can get an under 16 ticket for £7.50, over 65 £7.50, junior ticket for £15. So it's not like you're breaking the bank. Like there's no excuses. So I think it has to be
Yeah,
promoted in a bit. I think it's come a long way. I'm not trying to like downplay all the things that happened because I think 10 years ago,
absolutely. Yeah,
some of the women were actually still having 9 to 5 jobs. They were 9 to 5ers and playing football. Whereas now some of them are on pro contracts, or the majority of them I think are on pro contracts, or they're on the right path to get that, and they're doing really good things there. And I think it has changed. Like even showing the games on a Sunday after Sunday Super Sunday, they show like a game at like 6:30 on Sky.
yeah.
Those things weren't happening years ago. So I think things are happening, but I do have to question, and going back to the original question, I suppose, is the equal pay thing. I don't think there should be equal pay at the moment. And that's not me being like saying it's sexist. I'll take it away from football then. So if I'm a builder, I've been a builder for 20 years, I can build houses, I can build whatever. And someone who's been doing a job at the same level as me, works with me, they're not getting paid what I'm getting paid. I'm sorry, because I've been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing it a bit longer than you at this level. I'm not saying that you haven't been
Yeah,
doing it. I've been doing it at a different level to you. So we're not going to
yeah.
get paid the same. I'm going to get paid a bit more than you. You're going to work up, and eventually I might stop getting paid more than anyone. And then you can just come and align with me. I might hit the top before you hit the top. Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So I don't think they should be getting equal pay. And I don't think there's any woman. There's some men that don't deserve to get paid what they get paid. Eric Dyer is getting paid a fortune at Tottenham right now. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but there's men in the men's game that are getting paid. They're
Facts.
stealing a living. They're stealing. Reece James is stealing a living right now in football. Yes, he's one of the best right backs in the world. Let's not have that. But when he's out injured for this, that, the other, and all these months, he's stealing a living. So there's men's players out there doing the same thing.
But what? what you said there, what you said there about the business aspect of it is so key, and that's what I've been trying to allude to in my whole point is you are able to pay these players this amount of money because of the revenue you're bringing in for the
Mhm.
clubs and for the Premier League, for the TV deals, for everything else. This is where the affordability comes from it. That's why a club like Nottingham
Yeah, yeah.
Forest can come in and
That's
buy
why.
27 players and give them money and give them wages because they've come into the Premier League and they've
Mhm.
literally been parachuted money from everywhere. Bang, bang,
It's
bang, bang, bang. So
doable.
it's easy for, not
Doable.
easy, but they know how they can spend. Yeah, it's doable. They can spend a lot of money and they can still be fine financially because they're going to get the next crazy amount of payment for staying in the Premier League and maybe achieving something maybe later on down the line. The women's
Mm.
game isn't getting that yet. They're getting some of it, but they're not getting that yet. And that's why they can't get paid that much. But for that to happen, it needs more effort than just the players and the new age journalists. I'm talking about the Her Game 2 team and all those guys because they do incredible jobs. Especially here at Her Game 2, they do phenomenal jobs. But they need the people that they're pressuring to now finally put in their input and get
Mm.
more out there and actually give it a go. Because if you give it a go and it doesn't work, I can't
Mm.
argue against that. But you're not helping these players. You're not helping these new young journalists that are trying to get the women's game to a bigger level, whether that be a man or a woman that's trying to do it.
Mm. Mm.
They're all trying to do something, you know what I mean? But what's happening here? So that's why I asked these questions because it took the Premier League a long time to realize that, oh, if we get foreign talent in this league, yeah, you know what, we might actually generate some players here. Let's get
Mm.
some money here. Look how the money just blew up. You got your Zolas in, you
Yeah,
got your
man.
Ginolas in, Klinsman, different names, and your name grew off them so much so that you would argue most of the most famous
Yeah.
Premier League footballers are
I'd
not
say I'd
English.
say 80% of them.
I would argue.
80%.
There you go. There you go. The ones that give you, you would argue for Man United, Rooney, and then I use British because obviously Giggs was Welsh and that stuff. And then your Gerrards, your Lampards, your Terrys, and all that. But you also bring your Drogbas, your Thierry Henry. You got your Shearers there, but you got your Agueros, your Toure. I could go
Kevin
with
De
Man City
Bruyne.
alone and just bring in a whole load of
Do you
players
know
that
what I
are
mean?
not English. Exactly.
Vieira,
You can go Arsenal,
Bergkamp.
and literally their
That's
whole
what I'm
team was
saying.
French. You know, what I mean, there you go, Ljungberg,
Mm.
Pires,
Mm.
even he's Swedish. Ljungberg. That's another one. Then we can come to Chelsea, Essien, Drogba,
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Jeremy's
Mikel
was even a
Check.
name.
Listen,
Cody
we're the wrong
Check,
example for that
the
because
best
we could
goalkeeper
go
in Premier League history
Hazard. Do you know
is
what I
Check.
mean? There's very few English players at the top for me. Like, and maybe actually next podcast we're doing that. We're gonna go through our favorite English players and then our best European slash international players. We're gonna do that's next week. If anyone's listening to this now, next week's podcast is gonna be we got to come up with two 11s.
Run it.
One being of not English, sorry, of like the United Kingdom, so Wales and all of them things as well. Scotland, if there's a McTominay, you want to throw McTominay in there, you can do. Um, and then we're gonna do the rest of the world. Let's call it rest of the world. That's what we're gonna do next week. But no, I agree with you 100%. I think valid points. Um, and yeah, I think the women's game will be there, man. I think you can't rush certain things. Like certain things just have to marinate for a little bit, and then you have to understand that they're just like the man that's a CEO is not getting paid the apprentice wage, unfortunately. And that's how I think of it in my head. Is that how it is? Some men just have, or some people have more knowledge than others
Yeah.
at the game. Some are more skilled, some are more technically better, and some are just learning on the job. And then when they eventually become the skilled and the traded ones and the ones that can do the thing, they get paid the money that's it's a no-brainer to me. No one's buying. This is gonna sound mad, but no one's
Yeah.
buying. There's
Yeah.
there's more people buying Messi shirts than there is Sam Kerr shirts. That's just a fact. That's just fact. So
No, in fact,
who's
it's
gonna get paid
fact.
more than that?
It's
Who's
fact.
bringing in more revenue for the club? It's gonna be Messi because Messi's just the global. Everyone knows Messi. Everyone might know, yeah, a good proportion of people know Sam Kerr, but she's not pulling in them billions shirt sales across the season. She's not, and she might do in 10 years.
There you go. And
Yeah, man, come on.
Sam Kerr, bloody good.
Yeah,
Bloody
man.
good. But also Marta was incredible. But Marta wasn't getting the same amount of
Yeah, come
sales
on.
as
Like this is just it's
Ronaldinho,
facts though. It's
Kaka.
facts.
Because
But you tell them this, and you get
that's what it
called,
is.
but you're not supporting them. No, we support the women's game. But
Oh, we're supporting, but we want, but you're not gonna get what you want from what you get in the men's game by doing what I
facts.
think is not enough right now, and that's not on the players, and it's not necessarily on the fans either. I'm talking about authorities. I'm talking about the ones that have the power to now get into business with you and finalize these deals to get you on more TV, get you in more channels across the world, and even here's one thing they need to bloody do as well: increase the number of the teams in the Champions League
Yeah,
and
that's
make it like the
true.
men's game.
That's true.
It
That's
starts with
true.
16. What is
That's
that?
true.
What is that?
That is true. That is true. That is true.
What is that? Make if you want to give them everything that they can, give them the
It's
opportunity to
facts,
do
man. It's
what
no, it's
the
facts.
guys do. I don't think it's fair. You're not being fair on the women. That's how I see it. And if anyone disagrees with me, fine. But I just don't think it's fair on them. It's progressed so far, but are you doing even more? Are you saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's good right now, so let's just keep it how it is right
I
now"?
agree,
That ain't
man.
gonna help anything.
I
So
agree,
make it
man.
better.
But let us know
Make
your
it better.
thoughts in the comments, man. Don't be shy, as always. Some really good topics this week. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this visually. If you're listening on the audio, make sure you go into the description and hit the social accounts in there as well. You'll also, as always, see Free in Midfield podcast linked to that podcast. Kojo's over there as well. So make sure you follow there. And yeah, we'll be back next week, man. Another episode out the way. Roll on the Premier League. As I said last week, don't forget, keep supporting Palestine as well. We can't forget to do that. So make sure we keep continue to do that as well. Until next week, we're out, man. Thank you very much.